Class President Su Qinyan pointed at the most unremarkable brown bear in the hall. She glanced back at me with a triumphant smile, her eyes full of contempt and false pity. Fool! Did she really think taking my bear would rob me of my only chance to survive the apocalypse? The bear had only ever been a vessel, and it had returned from our previous life with me. Without letting my expression change, I turned toward the ice crystal butterfly in the corner, the failed chrysalis everyone else despised. Next, Lin Feng. Instructor Zhao Kuan's impatient voice echoed through the cavernous beast-taming hall. Everyone looked at me with pity, mockery, or disdain. I ranked last in the class, so the rules allowed me to choose only after everyone else. Su Qinyan, the class president and top student in our year, chose first. Tall and elegant, she stood in the center of the hall like a proud swan. Her gaze passed over purebred nine-tailed silver foxes and flame lions before settling on the weakest spirit beast in the corner. An F-rank brown bear of mixed blood. It was the same choice I had made in my previous life. My heart clenched. For an instant, my blood seemed to freeze. She had been reborn too. Su Qinyan extended a hand and pointed at the bear. I choose it. The hall erupted. Is she crazy? She passed up an A-rank nine-tailed silver fox for an F-rank mongrel. That bear looks half-starved. It probably won't survive the winter. Maybe prodigies enjoy setting impossible challenges for themselves. Amid the murmurs, Su Qinyan looked straight at me. I knew that expression. Envy, malice, and the satisfaction of believing she had stolen my prize. In our previous life, the apocalypse had plunged the world into a brutal ice age. Her noble nine-tailed silver fox froze to death on the first day. My bond with an F-rank brown bear, however, manifested the unique cold resistance talent, allowing me to thrive while others struggled to survive. Consumed by jealousy, Su Qinyan eventually joined a mob that killed and ate both me and my bear. Just before I died, she had looked at me exactly as she did now and said, "Pathetic, Lin Feng. Your talent is mine." Now she thought she had succeeded. Zhao Kuan frowned. Su Qinyan, are you certain? This brown bear's potential is rated F. The lowest rank. I'm certain. She approached the bear and forced a contract on it. The animal growled in protest, but the contract compelled it to submit. It looked back at me, confused and anxious. Be patient, old friend. This time, we will live differently. I buried my anger and forced my face into a grief-stricken grimace. Su Qinyan, how could you choose my bear? My voice trembled as I played the helpless coward. Her smile widened. Your bear. The strongest student chooses first. You're at the bottom of the class. What gives you the right to challenge me? Her followers immediately joined in. Know your place. A loser like you has no business fighting a prodigy over a spirit beast. Su Qinyan is the most admired girl on campus. The bear should be grateful she chose it. Who do you think you are? I lowered my head and made my shoulders shake. Keep acting, I told myself. The more confident she felt now, the more crushing her despair would be when the apocalypse came. Once everyone else had chosen, only a glass case in the corner remained. A dull gray chrysalis lay inside. Instructor Zhao, what is that? He gave it a contemptuous glance. A failed ice crystal butterfly chrysalis. Its energy reading is almost zero, and the school planned to dispose of it. If you don't want it, we can request a low-rank earthhound for you. That won't be necessary. I'll take it. While everyone stared as if I were a fool, I walked over and touched the cold glass. Lin Feng has completely given up, hasn't he? A butterfly that couldn't even hatch. It is too ugly to keep as a pet. Trash for trash. What a perfect match. Their laughter buzzed behind me like flies, but I ignored it. As soon as my fingertips touched the case, the chrysalis trembled. A trace of blue light flashed and vanished. Just as I remembered, I was the only person who could awaken it. I pricked my fingertip and pressed a drop of blood against its shell. The contract formed without a flash or surge of power. All the new students have completed their contracts, Zhao Kuan announced. Dismissed. The crowd gathered around Su Qinyan as if she were a queen. The brown bear squirmed in her arms, repeatedly trying to escape and run to me, but she held it down. Disobedient beast, she muttered. Her disgust quickly gave way to vanity, and she walked over with her chin raised. "See, Lin Feng, this is a real spirit beast. Strong and powerful. Yours is nothing but garbage." The bear whimpered at me as if apologizing. "It's all right. Endure it a little longer. You will return to me soon." Clutching the glass case, I lowered my head and hurried past Su Qingyan like a beaten stray. Back in my dorm room, I locked the door and set the case on my desk. A faint bond began to form between the chrysalis and me. I had never known the ice crystal butterfly existed during my previous life. Only as I died had my departing consciousness glimpsed the discarded chrysalis finally transforming in the extreme cold. Unnoticed by everyone, it had little offensive power, but it possessed an extraordinary talent: absolute temperature control. It could absorb and store many forms of energy, then release that energy as heat while maintaining a constant temperature field around itself. In an Ice Age apocalypse, that ability was worth far more than any weapon. Crack! A fracture appeared in the shell. A palm-sized butterfly with crumpled wings and a gray-white body struggled free. It looked so frail that a gust of wind might kill it. "Easy now. Take your time." I held out a finger. It climbed aboard and rubbed its head against my fingertip, sending a pulse of affection through our bond. I could sense how weak and hungry it was. I switched on every light in the room and aimed my desk lamp at it at full power. Its wings fluttered as it slowly absorbed the light and heat. Pale blue patterns began to appear across the gray-white surface. At the training ground, meanwhile, Su Qingyan was drawing a crowd. At her command, the brown bear shattered 3 stacked stone slabs with one swipe. An F-rank bear can hit that hard. Su Qingyan really is a prodigy. She can turn even the weakest spirit beast into something special. Praise followed her everywhere. She smiled at the bear as if she could already see herself ruling the frozen world. What she did not know was that the animal had carried a measure of its hard-won strength back from our previous life, when it had eaten the flesh of countless mutated beasts at my side. That residual power could not last forever. Without my cold resistance talent, the bear would be helpless once the true cold arrived. I watched darkness gather beyond my window and smiled. The first warning was almost here. The next day, I skipped class and spent all my savings on supplies: compressed biscuits, high-calorie chocolate, drinking water, down coats, quilts, portable generators, and fuel. Before long, the small storage room attached to my dorm was packed. The entire school laughed at me. "Did you hear? Lin Feng chose a useless butterfly, and now he's hoarding junk." Losing the bear to Su Qingyan must have broken him. Does he actually think the world is ending? It's July. My roommate even threw my supplies into the corridor. "Are you insane? Why are you filling our dorm with this garbage?" I said nothing. I carried everything back, one item at a time, and secured the storage room door with a heavy padlock. When they were starving and freezing, they would understand what those supplies were worth. For the next few days, my ice crystal butterfly absorbed light and heat. Its wings fully unfurled and changed from gray-white to translucent blue, patterned with intricate silver lines. It rested on my shoulder like a delicate work of art. Through our bond, I could tell its stored energy was approaching a critical threshold. Su Qingyan, meanwhile, became the center of attention on campus. She took the brown bear to club events, challenged senior students, and won nearly every match. Its strength amazed everyone and fed her vanity. One day, she blocked my path outside the dormitory. "Lin Feng." Arms folded, she looked down at me. "I hear you've been hoarding supplies. After I took your spirit beast, did you decide to hide forever and live on that junk? I thought you might have enough pride to prove yourself, but apparently this is all you're capable of." Her raised voice drew a crowd. I met her gaze. "Are you finished?" My calm answer infuriated her. "You." Before she could continue, the brown bear roared, tore free of her grip, and charged at me. The crowd gasped. The bear did not attack me. It stopped at my feet, rubbed its broad, furry head against my trouser leg, and gave a wounded whine. Su Qingyan's face darkened with humiliation. The crowd fell silent. Everyone stared at the bear that had fought Su Qingyan at every turn yet now stood beside me as docile as an oversized dog. I know you missed me, old friend. Just wait a little longer. I started to stroke its head as I had in our previous life, then stopped myself. The time had not yet come. Humiliation twisted Su Qingyan's face. The spirit beast she had selected so carefully ignored her in front of the entire school and sought affection from the boy she considered worthless. You filthy animal. Come back here. The bear flinched and reluctantly stepped away, though its eyes remained fixed on me. Your spirit beast doesn't seem very attached to you, I said. The quiet remark landed like a slap. Shut up. It just hasn't adjusted to me yet. Her face flushed, then paled. She seized the bear's collar and dragged it away. Just wait, Lin Feng. I'll show you that we're worlds apart. She fled through the crowd. I watched her go with cold eyes. The difference between us. Soon she would learn that it was the distance between life and death. That evening, the weather report was still warning of record-breaking heat. I put on my thickest down coat. The ice crystal butterfly nestled against my chest, giving off a trace of warmth. At midnight, every cicada outside fell silent at once. Then cold flooded in from every direction without warning. It was not the chill of an air conditioner but something far deeper, as if the laws of the world themselves had turned to ice. It had begun. Curses erupted throughout the dormitory. What happened? Did the air conditioning break? Why is it so cold all of a sudden? I was sleeping without a shirt. I nearly froze solid. Under the streetlights, frost spread across the lawn quickly enough to see. Snow in July would have been strange enough. But this was worse. It was the apocalypse's overture. My phone buzzed non-stop as the class group chat exploded. Does anyone have a spare blanket? I'm freezing. The school's heating system is down. And maintenance won't answer. The forecast must be broken. It's already below freezing outside. Su Qingyan posted a message. Everyone stay calm. This is only a rare cold snap. And it will pass soon. My brown bear has thick fur and isn't cold at all. You can crowd into my room if you need to. Her followers immediately praised her. Su Qingyan is amazing. Having a bear really makes a difference. Beautiful and kind. Please let me in. She still did not understand how close death was. She even thought she could use my bear to buy loyalty. I laughed and turned off my phone. The cold wave lasted only 3 hours. By dawn, the temperature had climbed again, as though the night had been a nightmare. Yet many people had suffered severe exposure, and the infirmary filled quickly. Officials called it a once-in-a-millennium atmospheric event. I alone knew it marked the beginning of the planet's energy field destabilizing. The true deep freeze would arrive in exactly 7 days. I had little time left. Lin Feng. Explain this. Instructor Zhao Kuan slapped a purchase list onto his desk. The school had learned about my stockpile. You bought enough supplies for a platoon and spread rumors about the end of the world. Are you trying to cause panic? Su Qingyan stood behind him with folded arms and a delighted smile. She had clearly reported me. Did she think an instructor could stop me? How naive. I stood and met Zhao Kuan's gaze. Buying emergency supplies is a personal interest. I haven't spread any rumors. A personal interest. He gave an incredulous laugh. Who turns a dorm room into a warehouse for fun? This would supply a reinforced platoon for a month. Stop making excuses. Su Qingyan said. You're jealous because I chose the brown bear. Now you're desperate for attention. Her followers chimed in. That's exactly it. He's lost his mind. I ignored them. Instructor Zhao. What if I told you the world would end in 7 days? The office went silent. Zhao Kuan stared at me. Su Qingyan and her friends burst out laughing. The world is ending. Send him to a psychiatric hospital. Su Qingyan wiped tears of laughter from her eyes. Have you read too many cheap novels? You and that useless butterfly are going to survive the end of the world. I kept my gaze on Zhao Kuan. Let's make a wager. If nothing happens in 7 days, I'll withdraw from school and publicly apologize to Su Qingyan for acting irrationally. The laughter stopped. Even Su Qingyan had not expected me to risk that much. Zhao Kuan studied my steady expression. At last, he asked, and if something does happen? I smiled. I'll give you half the supplies in my storeroom. His breath caught. In peacetime those goods were ordinary. In a disaster, they would be priceless. Fine. He struck the desk with his palm. For 7 days. I won't touch your supplies or punish you. If you cannot prove your claim after that, you leave immediately. Agreed. As I walked away, Su Qingyan glared after me. She wanted to watch me leave school. Soon, she might not live long enough to see another sunrise. For the next 6 days, I stayed inside my dorm. Mockery spread until Doomsday Countdown became my new nickname. Every day, students gathered outside my room to announce how many days remained before my expulsion. Su Qingyan basked in attention. She entered the Brown Bear in every competition she could find, cementing her reputation as the most gifted new student. She even promised to perform at my farewell gathering. The whole school treated my warning as entertainment. No one saw the blade hanging over them. On the 7th evening, the sky turned a beautiful, ominous purple. I stood at my window watching students laugh below. The ice crystal butterfly rested on my shoulder like a carved jewel. Judgment had arrived. A tremendous crash rolled down from the sky, as though an invisible mirror had shattered above the clouds. Then an indescribable cold swept across the world. Students who had been laughing a second earlier froze in place. Frost coated their summer clothes almost instantly. Screams split the air. Some collapsed mid-stride as rigid statues and shattered when they struck the ground. Every window in the dormitory burst at once. Wind knifed through the building. My room remained warm. The ice crystal butterfly spread its wings, casting a pale blue halo that held the lethal cold at bay. I listened without expression as disbelief outside became panic and panic became despair. This was only the beginning. Fear spread through the building like a disease. Help! I can't feel my hands. Does anyone have a fire? So cold. I'm going to die. Students crowded the corridors, tearing apart books and sheets in an effort to build fires. In that extreme temperature, even their lighters failed. The cries soon weakened, replaced by the dull thuds of bodies hitting the floor. I spread a quilt on the floor and calmly opened a packet of compressed biscuits. My roommate, the one who had thrown my supplies outside, lay curled on his bed. His skin had turned purple, his lips were black, and each breath looked like his last. When he saw me sitting comfortably in light clothing, terror in his eyes gave way to greed. Lin Feng, save me. He stretched out a trembling hand. I ate the last bite of biscuit and looked at him. In our previous life, he had been the first person to steal my food. This time, he would not get the chance. I turned away. His arms stiffened in midair, and the light faded from his eyes. Another body struck the bed frame with a hollow thump. Despair had also filled Su Qingyan's room. She and several followers huddled beneath every piece of clothing they could find. The brown bear was in even worse condition. Its thick coat could not protect its mixed blood from a cold that seemed woven into the laws of nature. Frost covered its enormous body, and its breaths came weak and shallow. Useless animal. You're an F-rank spirit beast. Why are you afraid of the cold? Su Qingyan kicked it in frustration. She could not understand. In their previous life, Lin Feng had thrived because of this bear. Why had it become useless in her hands? Qingyan, we can't hold out much longer, one follower whispered. Su Qingyan's eyes sharpened as she remembered me, the madman she had mocked for 7 days. I had known this would happen. I had to have a solution. We're going to Lin Feng's room. She forced herself upright and staggered into the corridor. My door shook beneath a barrage of blows. Lin Feng, open the door. I know you're in there. Su Qingyan's voice was hoarse and sharp, with fear beneath the anger. I finished my hot water before approaching the door. What do you want? My steady voice passed through the thick panel. She fell silent. If I could speak without shivering in that cold, I clearly had protection. Open up. I have something important to tell you. Not interested. I started to walk away. Wait. I was wrong. I shouldn't have taken your bear. Save us and I'll give you anything you want. Too late. My warning came true. I said. It looks as though I won my wager. Silence answered me. At last. She spoke through tears. You won. Please open the door. The bear is dying. That was what I had been waiting to hear. I opened the door a fraction, let a wave of warmth spill into the corridor, then shut it again. Students close to death reacted like sharks scenting blood. Heat. Lin Feng has heat. Break down the door. The corridor erupted. Desperate students shoved Su Qinyan and her followers aside and hurled themselves against my door. Get away from me. You animals. She screamed. Someone knocked her down. And the crowd trampled over her. The most admired girl on campus now looked as helpless as a stray dog. The lock finally gave way. Students poured into my room, then stopped when they saw me in a thin shirt and the butterfly glowing on my shoulder. Shock became greed. Kill him and take the butterfly. The crowd lunged. I did not move. Just before the first hand reached me, a deafening roar came from the corridor. A massive brown shape smashed through the mob like an out-of-control truck. The bear planted itself in front of me, using its body as an unbreakable wall. Frost covered its fur and it was barely standing, but its eyes blazed with fury. It growled at the students until none dared come closer. What are you doing? Come back here. Su Qinyan screamed as she dragged herself upright. The bear glanced at her with cold disgust, then gently rubbed its head against my arm and gave a plaintive whine. It looked like a wounded child who had finally found its way home. The sight destroyed what remained of Su Qinyan's pride. Her chosen spirit beast had rejected her before everyone and sided with the person she despised most. Why? She whispered, collapsing to the floor. Why? I stroked the bear's head. The ice crystal butterfly flew from my shoulder and settled between its ears. Blue light spread over its body. The heavy frost melted, and its weak breathing grew deep and steady. It closed its eyes and rumbled with contentment. Everyone finally understood. The true source of warmth was not a machine but the butterfly they had mocked. And the butterfly obeyed me. Their greed turned to fear. Lin Feng. Brother Lin. The student who had led the attack dropped to his knees. We were wrong. Please save us. We'll do anything. Others followed him down. Su Qinyan misled us. Please let us stay. In an apocalypse, strength was the only authority that mattered. I ignored them and approached Su Qinyan. You laughed at my warning and called me insane. I was right. Now apologize and admit which one of us was irrational. Humiliation and resentment filled her eyes. The bear growled behind me. Su Qinyan flinched, and fear swallowed her defiance. I'm sorry. I was the irrational one. The words seemed to drain the strength from her. She sat on the frozen floor like a hollow puppet. Only days before, she had been the top student and the school's celebrated star. Now her dignity lay crushed beneath my feet. That alone was nothing. In our previous life, she had been delighted as the mob divided my flesh. I crouched, caught her chin, and forced her to look at me. I couldn't hear you. Tears of humiliation filled her eyes. I said I'm sorry. I was jealous and irrational. I behaved like a vicious fool. Is that loud enough? Yes. I released her and turned to the people kneeling at my door. Do you want to live? Yes. We'll obey you. Then strip away her outer layers and distribute them to the people who need them. Shock rippled through the room. Su Qinyan went pale. You wouldn't dare. Why wouldn't I? The kneeling students hesitated. She had once been untouchable. Was my order unclear? The bear stepped forward with a roar that shook the floor. Survival overcame hesitation. Two men seized Su Qinyan while she screamed and fought. They pulled off her heavy coat, sweaters, and insulated trousers, leaving her in thin base layers. She curled up in the cutting wind as her skin turned purple. The same men who had once worshipped her now showed only numb indifference. I handed her warm clothing to those who had obeyed first. Put these on. They thanked me frantically while the others watched with envy. The lesson was unmistakable. From now on, I control this building. Those who follow orders receive food and warmth. Those who refuse. I looked at Su Qinyan, who was already slipping toward hypothermia. Share her fate. No one dared meet my eyes. On the first day of the apocalypse, a new order took shape in the harshest possible way. I became the ruler of the dormitory. I gathered the survivors in the ground floor lobby. The ice crystal butterfly perched on the chandelier and shone like a small blue sun, spreading life-saving warmth throughout the room. I moved into the best suite on the top floor and kept the finest supplies. The brown bear guarded my door without rest. Its contract with Su Qingyan had broken automatically when she approached death. The bear was free, and it chose to remain with me. We were together again. Zhao Kuan eventually arrived with several school administrators. Unlike the students, they did not try to force their way inside. They stood below and respectfully asked to see me. The instructor who had once threatened to expel me was barely recognizable. His face was purple with cold, and his smile was painfully humble. Mr. Lin. You predicted everything. I was blind not to trust you. Please, for the sake of our years at the school, save the teachers. I honored my promise and gave him half my supplies. But the food was not free. Zhao Kuan and the other staff had to remove bodies, reinforce the windows, and build defenses. Only people who contributed could remain. That was the second law of the apocalypse. I did not let Su Qingyan die. Death would have been too merciful. She became the lowest-ranked resident in the building. She cleaned toilets, hauled garbage, and moved bodies. Each day she received one piece of moldy bread and a bowl of cold water. The once pristine woman who had carried herself like a peacock was soon filthy, foul-smelling, and worse off than a beggar. Sometimes she tried to approach me to plead or curse, but one warning growl from the bear always stopped her. She could only watch with hatred as I fed the bear a sizzling piece of roasted meat. It came from the first mutated creature I killed after the freeze. A feral cat twisted by the new world's energy. The meat strengthened the bear immediately. Su Qingyan swallowed hard, her eyes fixed on every bite. She had not tasted meat in days. Lin Feng. She finally screamed. You're a monster. You'll die horribly. I wiped my mouth and walked over. You don't get to decide whether I'm a monster. But I know you regret stealing a bear that never belonged to you. I leaned close enough that only she could hear the secret I had carried through 2 lifetimes. Did you think cold resistance belonged to the bear? Her eyes widened. It never did. The talent has always belonged to me. The blood drained from Su Qingyan's face. Impossible. Talents come from contracted spirit beasts. They can't belong to humans. Her understanding of the world began to collapse. You were reborn and thought you could steal my opportunity and claim my future. I said. You stole an empty vessel. I was the source of the bear's power all along. Now you have nothing. Each word struck her like a hammer. At last she understood why the bear disliked her and remained devoted to me, and why its cold resistance had vanished after she claimed it. She had been wrong from the beginning. She thought rebirth had made her the heroine of the story. In truth, she was only a fool who had delivered her greatest advantage to her enemy. Blood sprayed from her mouth. Her body went rigid, and she collapsed unconscious from shock. Everyone nearby backed away from me. They had not heard our conversation, but they understood that the calm young man before them could break an enemy without lifting a hand. With Su Qingyan defeated, I turned to the future. The deep freeze was only the beginning. Ancient creatures would soon wake beneath the ground, and mutated beasts would grow more numerous and powerful. A dormitory could not protect us forever. I needed a real survivor base built around an unchallenged center. I divided the residents into teams. Zhao Kuan led logistics, managed supplies, and strengthened our defenses. Physically fit students formed hunting teams that killed low-ranked mutated beasts and collected the energy cores inside them. I commanded everyone. As the ice crystal butterfly absorbed more energy, it grew larger. The blue patterns on its wings deepened, and its temperature control field expanded until it could warm the entire athletic field. The bear consumed mutated meat and energy cores until it stood nearly 4 meters tall. One blow from its paw could flatten a car. Together, the butterfly, the bear, and I became the unquestioned power at the heart of the base. Fear became respect, then devotion. The survivors called me the Glacier King. A month later, our dormitory base had taken shape. High ice walls, watchtowers, and traps surrounded it. Under my leadership, the hunting teams could kill D-rank mutated beasts with ease. We rescued survivors from nearby buildings, and our population grew to almost 300. I had become the ruler of a small but formidable territory. One day, I stood on the roof overlooking the frozen world. Heavy snow still fell without pause, and the roars of distant creatures carried through the storm. It was a cruel age, but also an age of opportunity. Brother Lin. Zhao Kuan approached and handed me a report. Our scouts found a large government survivor base downtown. The military appears to be guarding it. I raised an eyebrow. So civilization had not collapsed completely. They brought back something else. Zhao Kuan continued, looking uneasy. The government base is searching for someone. Who? Su Qingyan. That surprised me. Since she fainted, she had become unstable. Muttering to herself while she worked. I had left her to her own fate. Why would the authorities want her? They say she's the long-lost granddaughter of a senior military commander. I laughed. It was a melodramatic twist. But it changed nothing. What should we do? Zhao Kuan asked. Nothing. A useless woman who depends on her grandfather cannot threaten us. Besides, we did not build this place merely to hide in one corner of the world. I turned to look at the settlement I had created. The ice crystal butterfly settled on my shoulder, glowing softly, while the brown bear crouched at my feet like an ancient guardian. Tell everyone to prepare. We leave in 3 days. Where are we going? To build an empire of our own. I spoke quietly, but no one mistook the words for a suggestion. Behind me, a blood-red sun rose over the frozen horizon. A new age had only just begun.